Abort mission. Yeah. I'm going to need you to go ahead and cancel those plans. Now, I want to get a little bit into why it's a horrible idea to have a supervillain era or a whole phase per se. And I know some of you are going to, dispute this and make it seem as if you're missing out on something if you don't experience that. Like it's some level of like a rite of passage into actually being a full adult. And actually, it is one of the most degrading things you can do. And I'm not saying this from experience because I'm very observant and I've been able to observe people that have gone through a whole phase and it has become a lifestyle. It has become something that they wish, they may not admit it, but their actions lean into them wishing that they never ventured into entertaining such a self-destructive mindset or lifestyle per se, because it's not just a phase. Oftentimes people do not share from those old hoes or old pimps. These people do not, or players, they do not necessarily share all the rough experiences they've had that have left them scarred, that have left them jaded, that have left them in a worse off position than they would have ever been if they have avoided going through a villain era or a whole phase. And I share this too because I grew up around people, elders, aunties and uncles, cousins, that unfortunately, they went into that type of life. And many of them barely got out alive. And the ones that did get out, a lot of them wanted to sort of put it in such a liberating light. But when you really look at these people's lifestyles, they were miserable, they were struggling, they had a lot of toxicity, okay? And they really weren't happy. So sometimes they would try to make it seem as if going through a whole phase or a supervillain era was something attractive or something that most people should get into, in a way as if to kind of recruit you into that lifestyle. But sort of like what I got from it, it was like misery loves company. So because they're miserable, they don't want to see anybody else to not experience the misery that they're having to endure. So they make it seem as if it's glamorous when it was the complete opposite of that. And so I just want to share this because it is time. Although we're seeing a lot of these things in society being glamorized, especially when it comes to social media, as if it is a way that, you just go to a next phase in your life, as an adult. But truthfully, many people are so burdened with demonic attachments. Some even have gotten into addictions. A lot of things people don't realize because the spiritual realm is really real. So if you're connecting with all these people that got all these issues, got all these soul ties, okay, oftentimes you can completely shift the trajectory of your life because you're allowing yourself to be degraded and used for the sake of having fun or for the sake of getting your lick back. The best revenge you could ever get when it comes to, you know, whatever someone has done towards you, whether that is a friend or a relative or relationship, is to just be a better version of yourself, become the best version of yourself. All right. So opposed to degrading yourself, opposed to just really trashing yourself out, because truly that's what's happening. When you do that, keep in mind that at some point, although people lie and make it seem as if they don't want relationships, deep inside, most people do. They want a genuine connection. And when you rob yourself of having that by spreading yourself out, connecting with all these different people, you're creating a lot of trauma bonds within yourself. You're creating soul ties and a lot of demonic attachments that these people have, you're taking them on for yourself as well. So when it's time for you to actually have a relationship or you desire to have one, you have already ran yourself through. Okay? Be honest. Who really wants to be with somebody that has been ran through, whether you're a male or a female, especially for a woman? And so you have to really consider those things. People don't really talk about it. They just talk about the whole glamorization, especially when it comes to media, when it is completely robbing you of your purity, of who the Most High has made you to be. All right. And I'm not trying to beat you over the head with a Bible. Okay. Sometimes, my messages, I really lean on the Most High, because in order to get through certain situations, you have to really connect yourself spiritually. And so I am rooted in the Word. And, when you see people experiencing toxic or narcissistic situations, oftentimes a lot of it has to do with these phases that they're going through that actually has resulted in a lifestyle. Okay, sometimes these things people allow themselves to get involved with for the sake of being trendy or, being cool per se, is not a lifestyle. It is truly a death style. Okay, it becomes something that is like a heavy burden on you. And you have to realize that once you make that choice, you have to also deal with the consequences of actually going through a so-called whole phase or supervillain phase. So if you are dealing with overcoming betrayals or hurt or heartbreak, instead of thinking of the most negative, self-sabotaging things that you can do, thinking that you're getting somebody back, you're no better than that person that may have done something to you if you decide to do the same thing or something similar that they may have done to you. The best recourse is to focus on self-growth. Focus on taking time to really connect with the Most High. Okay, if you're not spiritual, okay, just focus on being a better version of yourself. Think about the ways in which you could come out better from the situation instead of adding more injury and hurt to yourself. Because the truth of the matter is that it is not liberating at all. It's not going through any of that. So trust and believe that you deserve better. You deserve the best. You do not deserve to put yourself in harm's way, because oftentimes some of these people that go through these so-called phases, they're ending up missing. Okay, things are happening to these people. It's not a game. It is a way in which you could actually be playing Russian roulette with your life. And the truth of the matter, even within the mindset of being like in villain mode or demon time, all these negative connotations, people make it seem as if tapping into that level of darkness is something that you're winning, when it's actually taken away from the essence of who you are. And there's always duality. There's always a level of light and darkness. But when you actually allow yourself to be overtaken by darkness, okay, you can assert your boundaries. But when you do so in a way and you decide to take on very sinister and dark things and think you can just play with it, this is a spiritual world that we live in. Sometimes, when you are flirting with things that are of the dark, things that are really not of God, you can allow those demons to really take over you. And so one woman that I know that actually, really was a hoe. I mean, she had no shame about it. But one thing she told me was that if she could have done better, she would have not become bitter and just choose to be a better person. And so, hey, I took I took that woman and her friends' advice to not become bitter no matter what situations I have gone through, but actually allow those things to make me better, okay? Ex-nay, no bueno on the whole phase or the super villain phase, okay? Let it go, y'all. All right, it's burdening you down and it is robbing you of what you could actually have in this life.